From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
Vice President Mike Pence travels to Venezuela to discuss the growing humanitarian crisis after deadly clashes over the weekend, why Venezuelans here in Arizona are divided.
Plus, a school here in Phoenix to help migrant children transition easier when they move to the U.S.
And after record rain last week, wildflowers are in full bloom around the state. We'll show you how to get the perfect Instagram pic.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Anthony Totri.
And I'm Marcela Baedo. Thank you for joining us. After a weekend of clashes at Venezuela's border with Colombia and Brazil that left at least 2 people dead and hundreds injured, Vice President Mike Pence traveled to Colombia.
Pence met with Venezuela's president and interim president to announce clear actions in response to the growing humanitarian crisis in the region.
Donald Trump asked me to be here today to deliver a simple message to you and to the people of Venezuela. Estamos con ustedes. We are with you.
Protesters across the country met in Louisville Sunday, saying actions by the U.S. have made the humanitarian crisis worse. But many countries across the globe, including the U.S., have withdrawn support for Venezuela's elected president. They are instead backing the opposition leader.
Here in Arizona, members of the Venezuelan immigrant community took the opportunity to let their voices be heard as well. This after an anti-war group based in Tucson held a demonstration advocating for the U.S. not to meddle in the Venezuelan conflict.
Hands off! Venezuela!
Libertad! Libertad! It's like if you have a neighbor and you see your neighbor being abused, or, what do you do?
For Ricardo Hines, that's the question he and other Venezuelans supporting humanitarian aid for his country are asking.
Si se puede!
He was one of dozens of demonstrators rallying Saturday in Tucson's Armory Park, where both sides of the Venezuelan conflict came face to face.
And I understand.
A presidential tug-of-war between Nicolás Maduro and Juan Guaidó has left Venezuela in the midst of intense social and political turmoil.
20 years of misery.
Here in Arizona, as one side claims the country lacks food and basic medicine, the other stands firm on Maduro's side, arguing aid is not needed.
There's not a shortage of food. There's a shortage of money because of the hyperinflation. And all of this is a political and economic weapon to make the Maduro government look ineffective, look brutal.
Others, though, disagree.
So our jobs is to try to explain as best as possible to those who haven't lived it, who haven't left their families, who haven't witnessed this misery.
Aside from the Venezuelans that came here to advocate about humanitarian aid into their country, the opposite group, Tucson Anti-War Committee, also came out here to share their message.
Let's take care of the problems here at home first. For the counter-demonstrators here that want the aid to come in, the better demand is to get the United States to lift the sanctions.
You'll never be in Venezuela.
Isabel Garcia, a Mexican immigrant rights activist,
And we have to resist.
also says she wants Venezuela to come out of this situation without the help of the U.S.
Yes, do I want Venezuelan people to have medicines and food? Absolutely. But I want the United States out of it.
But for Venezuelans like Hines, they see U.S. aid and support as one of the last lifelines for his country as it lives day after day in chaos.
It's just that there is no medication, people are dying, kids are, starving, kids are eating from the trash cans.
Organizers of the Tucson Anti-War Committee also presented a letter to the Office of the U.S. State Department in Tucson demanding for the United States to not get involved in the Venezuelan conflict. Members of the Venezuelan community in Arizona say they plan on continuing advocating for a political and social change in their home country.
Right now, Mark Kelly's 2020 U.S. Senate campaign is aiming to tackle big issues like climate change and gun control. Cronkite News reporter Bryce Newberry joins us live with a look at the campaign's first rally.
Yesterday was Mark Kelly's second public appearance since announcing his campaign for U.S. Senate on Twitter about 2 weeks ago. He didn't shy away from the space theme, calling his campaign a mission for Arizona. On On Sunday, Mark Kelly's latest mission blasted off.
A mission is something that you plan for until you can't plan anymore. And a mission is something that has an important purpose. And a mission is something that requires a team.
The Kelly team is being fueled by former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, Kelly's wife since 2007.
He served our country in the Navy and in space. He's tough, he's smart, he worked just as hard as I do. Well, almost.
I never expected my journey to bring me here. Gabby was the member of Congress in the family.
But that's not stopping Kelly from setting out-of-this-world goals for his campaign.
If you want to reward work over wealth, if you think affordable health care is a right, if you want college to be affordable, and if you believe that we need to protect our kids from being shot in their classrooms, and you want to make communities safer from gun violence, be part of this mission.
Sunday's campaign rally drew hundreds of people from all different backgrounds, including Mike Rupp, a registered Republican.
Make America think again, which kind of presupposes that we used to think at one time, and that might be a little overly optimistic, but I think we could think a lot better than we do now.
He's already been really, really high. He's been an astronaut, so I think he's got a wonderful, I think it's in the same vein as John Glenn, so I think he's got no problems with how high he can go.
And that experience as an astronaut launching Kelly into his next chapter.
It's a mission for Arizona.
And over the weekend, the Republican National Committee issued a statement on Kelly's campaign saying, in part, since announcing his campaign, Kelly has been more interested in resistance than securing our border, proving he's just another obstructionist Democrat. Arizonans deserve a leader who will take clear stances on issues important to them from day one and fight for their interests, not just another political bystander. Mark Kelly is so far running uncontested, but could face Congressman Ruben Gallego in the Democratic primary. Republican Martha McSally, who currently holds the seat, has not said whether or not she'll run. She was appointed to the late John McCain's seat by Governor Doug Ducey back in December. Live at the digital desk, Bryce Newberry, Cronkite News.
5 babies in Maricopa County died from congenital syphilis in 2018, doubling the rate in the county over the last 2 years. That's according to new data from the County Department of Public Health. The department counted 30 babies born last year with a tragic and preventable disease. Congenital syphilis occurs when a mother with syphilis passes the infection on to her baby during pregnancy. Maricopa County's rate of infection is almost 60% higher than the national average for the disease and has exceeded the average for the last decade. The illness can be treated and cured with penicillin.
After recent record-setting rain, Roosevelt Lake, one of the major water providers for Phoenix, is benefiting from the added moisture. The Phoenix National Weather Service tweeted out this chart showing water levels have increased by about 10% in the last 5 days, and the levels will climb more as the snow on surrounding mountains melts and falls into the lake. We reached out to the Salt River Project, and they tell us there's lots of room for the lake levels to rise, so that's not a concern. However, that can change if it rains on top of the snow or if temperatures warm up too quickly, which could happen. Ashley Carter is joining us now to explain. Ashley?
Yes, Marcella, those temperatures are going to rise, but as far as the rain, we don't expect it. Just looking at the next 8 hours for today, it's going to remain in those 60s and relatively dry. It's going to keep that trend for the rest of the week, and I'm going to have that 7-day forecast for you to show there is no rain coming this week later on in the show, so you're going to want to stay right there.
Energy innovation brought national leaders to our state late last week. Cronkite News reporter Lillian Donahue reports on how APS is looking to bring energy from the sun to Arizona homes after dark.
Despite a downpour, U.S. Secretary of Energy Rick Perry visited with APS on Friday. Perry toured through a renewable energy storage facility nearly 50 miles west of Phoenix. That's where APS announced one of the largest battery storage initiatives in the country.
The holy grail of this whole renewable energy quest is in battery storage.
APS plans to bring solar energy to more than 1 million customers even after dark. The company promises 950 megawatts of renewable energy storage in the coming years.
The announcement that we made is the equivalent of powering 275,000 homes.
Now, batteries you're used to are the ones that are in my microphone that look like this. However, APS is taking it to a greater scale, implementing more than 500 batteries like this across the valley and Arizona. That's the equivalent of storage from 3 million solar panels.
But it's hard to hold on to the sun's power when it sets. That's where finding a way to temporarily store this energy on a mass scale comes in.
So we are inside of APS's Festival Ranch battery storage system. Coupling storage and solar, or storage and renewables together, is what allows us to truly unlock the promise of that renewable energy source.
Leaders at APS say their investment in clean energy storage won't cost residents more than they're already paying.
It certainly costs money, but the great news is that energy storage costs have declined to the point where it's competitive with other sources of generation.
The company plans to add batteries to its existing solar plants by 2020 and build new storage facilities across the state by 2025. In Phoenix, Lillian Donahue, Cronkite News.
The state ranks second nationally for generating solar energy, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration.
Coming up next on Cronkite News, a new school for migrant children here in Arizona.
How it's helping them transition after moving to the U.S.
15 different languages and are from 30 different countries. And they come as far as Congo.
Over car rental taxes and where the money actually goes. The latest after the break.
I'm Judy Woodruff, anchor and managing editor of the PBS NewsHour. The journalists of tomorrow face a fast-changing media landscape, but quality news remains vitally important to our communities, our country, and our world. At ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication, students learn solid, reliable reporting, holding the powerful accountable, and rebuilding the public's trust. The Cronkite School and Arizona PBS, preparing the next generation for a stronger future of journalism.
With wildfires, a scarcity of water, and other environmental issues facing the Earth today, it's critical to stay up to date with local impacts of a changing climate. That's why we created Elemental, covering sustainability, a multimedia collaboration between public television and radio stations. From climate change to water conservation to renewable energy and much more, Elemental covers the latest in sustainability news. Find our stories on our website, elementalreports.com.
I had swore I was not going to watch the Vietnam War because I could remember the day I watched us finally get the helicopters out thinking, okay, it's over, and then went to my college class. Next thing I know, I'm watching Ken Burns' Vietnam. And the thing that caught me so much was how he was talking to the winners, and this North Vietnamese general said, there's no winners in a war. That just stopped me dead in my tracks.
For more information about including Arizona PBS in your future plans, visit azpbs.org/giving.
As journalists at Cronkite News, we report on stories that matter to you by focusing on the local impact. We dig deeper and work tirelessly to keep you informed.
Live in Wickerburg.
Live in Los Angeles. In Cleveland. In Washington. In Louisville.
From Jerusalem. Live in Philadelphia. From around the world to right here in Phoenix.
At Cronkite News, we report the facts and stick to the truth.
The Arizona Supreme Court has upheld a car rental tax surcharge that's imposed in Maricopa County to pay for building a professional football stadium and other sports and recreational facilities. Car rental companies challenged the surcharge on the grounds it violated a section of the Arizona Constitution that requires revenues relating to the operation of vehicles to be spent on public highways. A lower court judge had previously ruled in favor of the rental companies, but the Arizona Court of Appeals reversed the decision last spring. And today, the Arizona Supreme Court echoed that ruling.
If you haven't filed your taxes yet, you may want to wait. This year, changes were made to the federal tax code, which means each state has to decide whether or not to adopt the adjustments. Because Arizona lawmakers have yet to decide, many taxpayers may be forced to file an addendum after a decision is made. The new federal tax code adjusted tax brackets, income thresholds, and the amount of tax relief for families.
New school jitters. Remember those? Well, think about a new school in another country. Thankfully, there's one here in Arizona that helps connect cultures, countries, and languages while ensuring students learn how American schools work. Cronkite News reporter Amani Stevens takes us back to class.
I'm from Afghanistan.
Congo, Mexico, Congo.
Mexico.
This group of students are from places all over the world. But one thing they have in common is that they all attend Valencia Newcomer School in Phoenix. The school opened in the fall of 2018 to help refugee or immigrant status students with the transition, because the move to the United States wasn't always smooth.
We just found that the students were struggling because there wasn't a set model. The teachers were still teaching at the middle of the road.
And at this school, teachers are able to meet the students at their learning levels.
Targeting in our instruction to meet individual needs of students that speak a variety of different languages and come with a variety of and diverse backgrounds.
Christine Jones, who teaches 3rd through 5th grade, says the students that once had challenges with learning English are now teaching other students.
There. Learn. There's like little sponges. They're ready to learn.
I learn new words, writing in English, reading in English.
And those skills are what Angelique's father, who fled Congo due to war, is most proud about when he spoke to us through a translator.
I was not even able to read anything, but since we come here, we have been admitted with Alhambra School District, and my kids right now, they are doing an amazing job. When they send me the letter in my mailbox, my kid reads. When I'm going to appointment, my kid we don't need any translator right now. My kids are helping me.
That help also reaches at home, where the school staff does home visits to help with the transition.
It affects the children, and it affects their learning when they're worried about what's going on at home, or if mom's going to be able to come home that day, or if they're going to have food at their home. That's a big worry of from our children, and that hurts our heart.
Valencia Newcomer School assists immigrants who speak 18 different languages from 30 different countries.
7 times 7, 49.
In Phoenix, Imani Stevens, Cronkite News.
Up next on Cronkite News, wildflowers in full bloom taking over Arizona state parks.
We'll show you where to go and what to do to get the perfect Instagram pics.
Right now, temperatures in Phoenix, 66 degrees with plenty of sunshine. It's not very windy outside today, so if you want to head outside that office and enjoy this temperature while it lasts, go ahead. It is going to continue for the rest of the week as we are expected at the 70s. Stay tuned for that 7-day forecast later.
If you're looking for one show that tells you what happened that day in the world of business, it's NBR.
We saw a classic shipwreck.
Nordstrom's opening stores.
Triple-digit gains.
Crude climbs.
We're there to help our audience find new investment ideas.
The market still has room to go up.
Nightly Business Report is the longest-running business television program in history.
Weeknights at 10:30 on Arizona PBS.
Then I stumbled across the kids programs and I fell in love with author. I used to be a school teacher. Some of my classes I taught were K through 6. I liked author's approach to how you would teach a moral or how to teach a way to react to a situation. And they always had a moral to the story. So I still watch author quite religiously.
For more information about including Arizona PBS in your future plans, visit azpbs.org/giving.
It's finally warming up here in the valley, which means perfect weather for hiking. So Cronkite News reporter Claire Kelly went out to take a closer look at some of the colorful things you might come across while visiting Arizona state parks.
Without rain, there can't be flowers. But as you all know, Arizona has had a lot of rain over the past couple of months.
Because we had so much rain this winter, the Arizona state parks are not only very green and lush, but they are also shaping up for a beautiful wildflower season. I went on a hike with State Park Ranger Matt Downs in Lost Dutchman State Park to check out all of the wildflowers that are already starting to bloom.
So some of the wildflower species that we have here in Arizona somewhat depend on elevation. So when we were higher up on the mountain, we were seeing a higher variety of some of the wildflower species. Seeing a lot more lupins, we're seeing some fillory, but down here as you come off the mountain, for the most part, you're really only seeing a lot of the brittle bush out here. Every once in a while you'll find some of the smaller species that are kind of just hanging out independently, but for the most part you're just kind of seeing brittle bush. So that's why it's nice if you're ever going to come into the park, try to head up a little higher, you're actually going to kind of get your money's worth of wildflowers.
When going on your hike, make sure to take some pictures. Photographer Amy Horn gives us some tips on shooting wildflowers.
You tend to have more success for the flowers in the morning because if we're going to have any wind that day, first thing in the morning you tend to have less wind. And if you're trying to take a close-up picture of flowers, if the wind is blowing, it's going to move your subject and cause a blurry image. So I would recommend morning photography, use the tripod, and get out there and just notice everything around you.
It is not illegal to pick the flowers, but it is illegal to take anything out of a state park.
You can kind of see that it's already starting to wilt and die off, and now no one else gets to see this flower pretty much. It'll break down and kind of go back into the earth, but you know, we always say don't pick the wildflowers for your grandchildren. It's kind of like the saying that a lot of places like to say.
Besides Lost Dutchman State Park, you can also find wildflowers in bloom at Catalina State Park and Lake Pleasant Regional Park. Claire Kelly, Cronkite News.
And check out this photo from NASA showing the snow cover Saturday in Arizona following last week's winter storm. Thankfully, temps are on the rise this week and we might be able to put our jackets away.
Ashley Carter is joining us once again with a closer look at the warmer weather headed our way this week.
Yes, those 70-degree temperatures are finally back in the forecast. So let's look at some weather headlines right now. That 70-degree weather, like I said, is coming back. It's going to start tomorrow around the afternoon time. There's going to be plenty of sunshine this week. And like I said, no rain chances. So you guys can put those umbrellas away just where you guys want to because you're not going to need to pick it up, at least for the rest of this week. Looking at the rest of the evening, we're going to stay in those 60s for most of the evening until 8 o'clock. We're going to drop back down to those 50s. And at 10 o'clock, we're going to go back down to 46 degrees, which we're going to start the day off with at 8 a.m. tomorrow with some sunshine. By noontime, we're going to be back in that 60-degree weather. And by 4 o'clock, that 70-degree weather is back. Looking at the state, it is also warming up. You see 70-degree weather in many cities across Arizona. In Grand Canyon and Flagstaff, they're still in those chilly 40s, but it's still a 20-degree warm up from what they were facing last week whenever it was snowing. So again, the state is warming up just in time for the spring break plans if you plan to stay in the state. Looking at the 7-day forecast, it's going to be 75 degrees for that high on Wednesday. The low is going to be 50 on Thursday. Plenty of sunshine at 76 for that high. The low 52 going into the weekend. 77 degrees with some sunshine and a little bit of clouds. That low is going to be 55 degrees. Saturday and Sunday, 70 degrees. Saturday is going to reach near the 80-degree temperature, and that low is going to be 56 degrees. So we have a nice weekend to look forward to with nice weather. From the Cronkite Weather Center, Ashley Carter.
Tomorrow marks the 100th anniversary of the Grand Canyon.
And here at Cronkite News, we're celebrating its centennial by sharing your favorite photos and memories. Just text the word Canyon to the number on your screen, 602-536-9815 to get started.
Your memories and photos may be shared right here on Cronkite News, on our website, or on our other social platforms. Again, text Canyon to 602-536-9815 to share your photos with us for the Grand Canyon Centennial Celebration tomorrow.
When you think about hockey in the desert, you think about two things, the Arizona Coyotes and Shane Doan.
Well, last night, the Coyotes gave a special salute to the longtime captain by making him the first Coyote in history to do something. We'll tell you what it was after the break.
I'm Matt Berry, ESPN Sports Center anchor and graduate of ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication. With its bachelor's and master's degrees in sports journalism, the Cronkite School is preparing the next generation of sports journalists to tell stories that matter, stories that excite, inspire, and inform. Cronkite immerses students in covering sports at all levels in one of the country's top sports markets. It's this hands-on experience under the guidance of award-winning sports media veterans that shape the top journalists of tomorrow.
Stay in the know on the go. At Cronkite News, we work hard to report the facts and keep you updated, whether we're on set or on the scene.
Taking it from the studio to the field. So I'm here in South Phoenix.
In Phoenix, we're just a click away. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, or find us online at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Millions of people die every year from drinking dirty water. I would never have felt I had the ability to do something without ASU pushing me. We built filtration systems out of local materials with the people. To see those kids drink clean water for the first time, it's the most rewarding feeling that you can ever have. I went to ASU because I wanted to change the world. The thing I never would have expected is how the world would have changed me.
After 21 years of service to the Arizona Coyotes, Shane Doan received the recognition he deserves from teammates, family, friends, and fans during his jersey retirement ceremony last night. He's the only Coyote to ever have his jersey number retired. The Coyotes played the Winnipeg Jets last night. Before Doan was a Coyote, he played for the Jets. Both teams wore jackets with Doan's number 19 on them during warm-ups. Doan retired from the NHL back in 2017.
Cronkite News is proud to be the news division of Arizona PBS. Here's what's coming up on her Arizona Horizon and PBS NewsHour. That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.